It is the SMT Media Network. Folks, we're going to be talking about the association here. If you appreciate a Real Hoops channel, please do like and share this video, subscribe if you're new here, and turn on the bell notifications icon so you never miss an upload from the SMT Media Network. All right, we got to talk about the Eastern Conference. We're going to talk standings. We're going to talk the Cavs. They've been the leaders of the Eastern Conference for most of the season. Well, not everybody's in on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I understand why. Everybody wants to see the Cavs take the next step before they anoint them as the top in the East. So I totally understand. They want to see their next step in the playoffs. But over the course of a season, you kind of build who you are, the character, the philosophy, who you are as a team, how you win. And the Cavs have been absolutely dominant for a large majority of the season. Recently, let's say over the last 10 to 15 games, the Cavs have looked absolutely fallible. You know, what have they been doing differently, or what have they not been doing compared to the first 2/3 of the season, maybe, where we saw them go on multiple double-digit win streaks, right? 10, 12, 15, 16 game win streaks on several occasions. They looked absolutely dominant for so long, and now all of a sudden, they look so regular. 5-5 in their last 10 games. We've seen multiple game losing streaks. I think at one point they lost 4 in a row. Recently, they've kind of gotten things back on track, but even in a game last night against the Detroit Pistons, the Cavs didn't look good. And to be more specific, if you look at the game itself, the Cavs lost to a score of 133 to 122. Now, the only reason why I care, why I'm talking about that score, is you have to look at how the teams are winning or losing games. Like, if it's winning games, well, how is that sustainable? How are they doing it? You know, if they're losing games, what's the reason? For the Cavs, why they're not as dominant as they used to be, to me, at least when I watch, I see a team that is not as effective on defense. The Cavs against the Pistons, and this is not a knock against the Pistons. The Pistons are a very good team. Losing to the Pistons is not an indictment saying you're a bad team. But the Cavs used to be so good defensively. They were, I think most of the time throughout the season, they were ranked like top 8 in defense in a lot of metrics. And then offensively, they've always been, you know, very good. High efficiency offense, making the 3-ball, getting out in transition, half court sets. You know, Don and DG and Mobley kind of ascending this year. But the game against the Pistons kind of tells the story. The Cavs gave up 31 points in the first quarter, 32 in the second, 38 in the third, and 32 in the fourth. So here's what that tells me. The defense is starting slow in the first half. And if you look at the first quarter and the second quarter, there's no change. They come out in the third quarter. That's an opportunity where you can make adjustments at halftime. And you end up giving up 38 in the third. And then in the fourth quarter, when you got to clamp things up and make things tighter, you still gave up 32. They didn't give themselves a chance to win last night against the Detroit Pistons. And the reason is because when you look at the Detroit Pistons, you gave up 32 points to Tim Hardaway Jr. So he's hot and you made no adjustments. Star Thompson, nice player, 18 points. Dennis Schroeder's getting you 17. Malik Beasley, 19. We're talking about a team that didn't even have their best player available. You know what I'm saying? And you let the Pistons shoot 48% from the field and 44% from 3. You didn't run them off the line. You didn't knock them off their spots. You got out-rebounded by the Pistons. You gave up 16 offensive rebounds. How are you going to win that game? And, you know, the rest of it's all basically very, very close. The margin of victory here, the reason why the Pistons won by 11 is because of effort. Defensively, the Cavs just don't have it right now. Their defense is not as good as it used to be. So when I'm looking at the Eastern Conference and I'm looking at the standings, Boston's hot. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. I think 7 in a row. Did a video about that last week. The Knicks are kind of situated where they are. That's probably not going to change. But you have to look at the rest of the guys in the East, and you have the Pacers in the 4 spot, Pistons at 5. Those guys are kind of dangerous. The Pistons have arrived, right? They're you could say that they might not make a lot of noise in the playoffs, but they're a really good team. And the Pacers have come in hot too. The Pacers have won 8 of their last 10. And if it wasn't for that, lucky LeBron layup, we're talking about a team that's record-wise even better than what they look like. And they're probably in a position to overtake the Knicks very soon. The Pacers could potentially end up third in the East. The Pistons and the Pacers are looking to be disruptors in the playoffs. They want to win their first round matchup. They want an opportunity to win their second round matchup. And I'm not saying that's going to be easier. That's automatic. Beating the Celtics or the Cavs or a healthy Knicks team is going to be hard to do. But the Cavs don't look as dominant as they used to be. And that is because defensively they just aren't. Now, recently, some of the games, we've seen Donovan Mitchell not be as effective as he was earlier in the season, too. We've seen some real clunkers. Some people are saying that Donovan is being hampered by some kind of like a groin injury or something, or I don't know. All I know is defensively, they don't look as good as they were earlier in the season. And this explains, when you look at those scores, they're giving up a lot of points. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to do some homework. I'm going to look at their defensive ratings over the last 15 games. And then I'm going to look at it for the first 15 games. And then kind of like the middle 30. I think we're going to see a trend. I think we're going to see a team that's defense has kind of faltered. I think they've gone from like a top 10 defense, top 8, top 6. I think they're more like middle of the road now. And that's not going to be good enough in the playoffs. You have to be a good defense in order to get a chance to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, compete for a trip to the NBA Finals, and win a championship. You have to be a very good defense. And I've noticed it when I've been watching the games. The Cavs' rotations, the Cavs' defensive tenacity, it's not what it once was. And I don't know what Atkinson wants to do. I'm not sure what his decisions will be. He's going to have to tighten up his rotation. You're not going to be playing 11 guys in the playoffs. Or you're probably going to be playing 8, especially once you get into the second round of the playoffs. And these playoff series in the East are not going to be easy. Once you get into the segment of, playing the Bucks with Giannis and playing the Pistons with Cade and those guys, and Halliburton and the Pacers with their pace, literally the Pacers, right? And the Knicks with Jalen Brunson and Cat, they're going to be a handful defensively. And the Celtics, they got weapons everywhere. You're going to have to be better defensively. Atkinson, the Cavaliers, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, we know what they can be. We've seen it for long stretches of the season. This is not the time to start faltering on defense. I think the concern level is mid right now. I wouldn't say it's high or anything. There's still about how many games left here? They've played what do they have, like 8 games left? I think at this point you're just trying to tighten up your defense. We'll see how they end up closing out the season and how they look going into the playoffs. But it's defense, guys. We'll be watching this to close out the year. That's the Cavs' problem right now. Defensively, they're just not as good as they used to be. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Go ahead and drop me a comment. What are you seeing from the Cavs recently? Do you agree with me that it's been the defense faltering a bit, or is it something else? Let me know.